Hi. In this past Wednesday's conversation, we spoke about love and triggers. And we started the conversation with the defining spirituality for each of us as an individual thing. And what we found is that most folks define spirituality as a sense of oneness with everything. And then through that, we looked at our purpose for spiritual practice. And what came out of that was the idea that spiritual practice, the purpose of spiritual practice is so we can feel that connectedness, that oneness, a sense of love and joy, a loving flow through our lives. And so as we looked at that, we talked about our triggers and how they set us off and get us to some deep psychological wound within us. And it happens like that, boom. All of a sudden, we're going along in life and something happens that upsets us so much that it just sets us off. And then how do we bring ourselves back? And we talked about the idea of, can we rise above through spiritual practice those wounds that get triggered, or do we need to dig into those wounds to heal them? And in this place, there were differences of opinion. And what I come up with from this, what came out of me from our conversation, was the idea that, yeah, sometimes we can actually meditate ourselves or do our spiritual practice, whatever that is. Some spoke about walking a really long time. Whatever it takes to get to that place of spiritual oneness so that we can regain our center and regain that which we truly are, a powerful, creative, spiritual being. And so we look at that for our lives. We look at how to get there. And then I also think that there are times where looking into our shadow side is important. And so it isn't one way or the other. And for you, it's going to be up to where you are in that moment with that trigger. The key is that do something. Don't sit in it. Don't ever sit in your trigger. Love yourself enough to move through it, to get back to that place of open-heartedness, whether it's digging down into that shadow self and loving yourself enough to heal that wound, or whether it's rising above through spiritual practice. It isn't one way or another, and no one else can tell you which one is right for you. It's up to you to see that, to breathe it, to be it. And the other thing that we talked about and touched upon in our talk was the idea of the difference between really getting to a centered place of well-being or just getting to a place of relief that might feel like well-being. Like sometimes when we're so stressed out, all we want is relief. And we'll do whatever it takes to get to that place of relief, but that may not mean we've actually reached a center place. Now, is relief a bad thing? I don't know, because sometimes sitting in our discomfort, outside our comfort zone, is the best place to gain a higher sense of spiritual practice and growth. Sometimes we find relief by running back into our comfort zone. And when we do that, that is not a place to grow, to gain a deeper sense of spiritual practice. But I will say that this is about being ready. And so I'm not sitting here going, do never run back into your place of feeling safe. Never run back to your comfort zone. Now, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is just know what it is you're doing. Be aware. Be aware of the difference between what you are doing is running back into your comfort zone or standing outside your comfort zone and reaching a higher place of spiritual centeredness. Now, sometimes it's really important simply to get back to your comfort zone. If you feel too unsafe, it goes back to that thing that I've spoken about in other talks, the yogic idea of going to your edge, breathing and smiling. And if you cannot breathe and smile, back it up until you can. So we want to be working with our edges. There is absolutely healing to be gained there. But if we go too far where we can no longer smile, and certainly a trigger is way too far. So the first place to be may be just to get back to our comfort zone and relax, and so that we can calm down. But then to look at what it is we're triggered about and see what we can do about either rising above or digging in. In the moments we are triggered, getting a hold of ourselves and recognizing we are triggered is really important. Flooding ourselves with self-love is really important. Loving ourselves, no matter what is going on, is incredibly important. I want you to know that you're worth it. You are worth loving yourself. You are worth giving to yourself. You know, the airlines speak about all the time, if there's no oxygen and the masks drop, put on your own first. It's a really good idea, because from that place of self-love, it becomes way easier to love others. It becomes way easier to give what it is we have come here to be in the world. You are a gift, and through self-love, you can offer that gift to greater and greater capacity. And so when we speak about love and triggers, we're really speaking about how deep is your love with yourself. And then through that, healing those triggers, rising above those triggers, moving on from those triggers to live a brilliant life, a beautiful life. This next week, we have a special guest, Reverend Linda Ketchum, who's going to be leading the conversation on forgiveness, another really important subject in the topic of self-love. It'll be on Wednesday, February 18th at either 5:30 or noon or 5:30 Pacific. Please join Reverend Linda as she speaks about this really important topic for a deep and rich conversation. And I'll see you the following week. You have a great week, and remember, love yourself.